All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And so we are here for a fun time. We're for a fun time. So I hope that you've got your coffee. I hope you got your tea, whatever it is, even if you're on your way to work or you're at work, whatever it is. I appreciate you tuning in today. We're here for a purpose. Today, we're talking about how to protect your vision from distraction. Now, this entire live series that we've been doing is because we're doing it because we're preparing. Now we're preparing for the Dreamer Symposium that's happening at the end of the year. So I first want to tell you a little bit about the symposium because the key to you becoming who you're called to be is number one, you need to put yourself in a space where you can grow. And the Dreamer Symposium is designed for you, the dreamer, the leader, whether you're in ministry, whether you're in corporate, whether you're an entrepreneur. It's designed for you to be able to set clear, big vision goals for the new year, as well as help you grow in your self leadership. And so at this conference, you're going to get not only clarity. Okay, you need vision because without vision, the people will perish. If you don't have vision, you have no idea what you're doing. You'll just be burnt out and tired because you have no idea what your destination is. But you'll get clarity, but you're also going to get strategy because you need both so that way you can actually execute on whatever it is that you've been called to do in your life. And so we're here to set the stage for that. Now, this year's theme for the symposium is resilient leadership. Okay, resilient leadership. Now, this is important because while you can have clarity, you can have strategy, you are going to need to be able to overcome hardship. You're going to need to be able to handle pressure. You're going to need to become resilient. And so that's why today's topic is relevant because 365 days is a lot of days, and it's very easy to be extremely motivated, to be extremely disciplined, and all these things towards the beginning of the year. But when you reach around this time, which we're at the midpoint of the year, it's June, it's very easy to look up one day and just be like, oh my goodness, where did all of my progress go? So you may be listening right now and you're like, well, I'm in a good spot. But there's also people listening who are kind of in a spot of like, oh my goodness, like I need to get back on track. And so this conversation is designed to help you do that. Okay. And so with this conference, kind of the why behind it all. I would encourage you to come out. It's December 5th and 6th. December 5th and 6th. The first day is virtual, the second day is in person. And we're going to be in Jackson, New Jersey. Okay. So if you're in the Northeast area and you're like, okay, that sounds like it's up my alley, it sounds like something that would be of value to me, I encourage you to check it out. Okay. And you can do so just going to the website at at dreamersymposium.com. All right. Dreamersymposium.com if you want to check it out. Now, today, we're here to talk about how to protect your vision from distractions. Okay. Because again, we're at the midpoint of the year, and you could be listening to me right now, and you're like, well, I started off the year well, but, around like that May time, like May was a rough month for me. Or you might say April was a rough month for you, whatever the case is, and you're desiring to get back on track. And so, what we have to do in order to get back on track and stay on track is figure out how to protect the vision specifically from distractions. All right. So here's kind of like what we're doing here today. All right. I'm going to be here for maybe call it 30, 40 minutes, whatever it is. And I'd encourage you, if you listen, drop a comment, say something in the chat. Let me know if you have a question. Please feel free to share and everything like that, even if you're watching this on the replay. But here's what we'll talk about. When you think about just protecting your vision, what if I told you? What if I told you that your vision was under attack and you didn't know it? What if I told you that the very goals that you might have written down, the vision board that you may have created, what if it was under attack? What if it was vulnerable and you were none the wiser? For many of us, we allow our distractions to basically take the air out of our goals because we don't protect the vision well enough. And so my goal here today is to just share three, call them strategies, call them tips, call them keys, whatever it is. But I want to share kind of three practical things that have helped me in my context in both business and ministry to simply help you stay focused on the goal, to help you really protect the vision. All right. Because again, your vision is valuable. But if you don't protect it, then you're not going to actually see the fruit of the vision, right? Because again, we protect what's valuable. And so your vision is worth protecting. And that means we need to do what we can to eliminate distractions. Okay. Now, it's very possible for you to be living distracted and not even know it. It's very possible to be in pain and normalize it. It's very easy to be in a place of settling and just simply sit in the fact, thinking that that's all there is. And so, my desire for each and every one of you as you are listening is for you to reach a point where can clearly identify a distraction and you can clearly maintain focus even in the midst of the distraction trying to take your focus. Because here's the thing, you're never going to be able to eliminate all distractions, but you can structure your life in such a way where you give yourself the best chance. And so, what we want to talk about is for those of you that feel like you're living below your potential, for those of you who feel like you're living behind. All right. And so let me kind of give you the first, call it strategy, when you think about be basically protecting your vision. Okay. The first strategy is number one, to guard your inputs. Okay. Number one, guard your inputs. Now, for those of you that might not be aware of this isn't really like woo woo or anything like that, but we pretty much have an ear gate, we have an eye gate, and we have a mouth gate. And when you think about guarding your inputs, this has to do with what you hear and what you see. And this is why just the way in which you structure your life is so important. Because if you don't structure your life in a way where you are making sure you're getting positive deposits into you each and every day, you can find yourself living distracted without even knowing it. Now, here's the thing. For a lot of people, right, you can be in a space where you feel like you're living below your standard and you're living below what you believe you're called to, but you feel like you need to do more. You feel like there's things that you need to add to your life. But the reality is, for a lot of us, before we even think about, oh, let me go out and do more, oh, let me go out and conquer this, and let me go out and add this to my territory, the reality is, you'll get more done by simply eliminating distractions. Because for a lot of us, there are a lot of distractions in our world, especially today. And this is just talking practically. When you think about your phone, when you think about, saying yes to outings with friends and all these things, there are a lot of distractions. And distraction can be described as simply anything that slows down your progress, anything that stops you from hitting your goals, whether it be a weekly goal, monthly goal, yearly goal, whatever it is, right? Anything that slows you down, you can describe that and consider that a distraction. Now, when we talk about guarding our inputs, this is where we need to look at people, we need to look at content, and we need to look at conversation. Because let's start with people. The voices that are around you will help you either stay focused or stay distracted. If you don't have the right voices, then you are going to find yourself being led down a path you never intended. And this is a mistake that a lot of us make because we stay around people who, they've been with me since kindergarten, or, oh, I've known them since we were in the sandbox, or, oh, they were a good friend to me back then. But it's like, are they a positive voice? Are they actually adding to your life? Are they actually bringing value to your life? And not when I say bring value, I mean, like, are they actually holding you accountable in a real way? Not like, or do you have yes men around you? Not like, do you just have people that go with the flow and kind of never really correct you? Like, do you have people in your life that are actually keeping you in check and holding you to the standard that you claim you want to live at? Like, I'll give you, for me, being both in business and in ministry, there are youth pastors and campus pastors and things like that that I talk to often, just because they understand the grind, they understand the position I'm in, and we're able to have conversations that are encouraging, but they're also edifying. They're encouraging, but they're also challenging at the same time, where they'll be able to basically call me out when necessary. They'll be able to hold me accountable to things that are going on, and really be able to brainstorm with me. But that's because I'm guarding that input of the voices in my life, because I want to make sure that if you are going to be a voice in my life, meaning that I am listening to you for a specific purpose. I'm listening to you. You have space in my ear because I value what you have to say. And if you are going to fill that space, you need to be moving me towards who I believe God has created me to be. You need to be moving me towards the leader I believe I can be. And if that's not the case, then there's no reason for us to really talk as much. And this can be hard for some of us because we want to keep people around, and that's where you deal with people pleasing and all these things. But if you want to truly protect your vision, you've got to make sure that you evaluate the people around you. And you want to make sure that the voices that are in your circle, the voices in your corner, your inner circle, that they're always talking positively about your goals. They're talking positively about the best version of yourself. They're talking positively about just your process to achieving these things. Now, do not confuse them challenging you with them not supporting you. Do not confuse them basically asking you questions about your dream and your goal and your business, whatever it is. Don't confuse that with, oh my God, they don't believe in me. Like, you need to really ask more questions, because as dreamers, it's super easy. And I've fallen into this too myself, where, we have a great idea. We have a great, thing that we want to build, and we share it, and we're like, yeah, come on, help me build it. And I'm so excited about it. And then they ask you just kind of simple questions like, okay, so where's the money going to come from? Okay, who are you going to reach? Okay, when are you going to do this? And it's like, as soon as we hear a question and immediately think, oh, this is resistance, you don't believe in me. And that I would go as far to say, honestly, I'm gonna say this with love. It's kind of immature. It's immature just because these are questions, at least depending on the question, that you need to have answered, if not now, but at some point. So they can love you enough just to simply ask you the question that you might not have thought of. And just because they ask you a question that you might not have thought of, that does not mean they don't support you. It means that they actually want to challenge your current level of thinking, so that way you can get that question answered and be closer to executing the idea, executing on the business, whatever it is, right? So when it comes to the voices in your life, make sure that you are guarding the input of people. Now, the second, and this is a very practical and simple one, is content. Like, who are you following on social media? Who do you watch on YouTube? You're watching me here today, and I really appreciate it. But just whose content are you listening to and watching? And what are they talking about? If you are, let's just say, you're a church leader, or you're a ministry leader, or whoever, you're a pastor, whatever, and you basically watch nothing, you follow nothing but like shade room pages and like fight pages and like that type of content that exists on social media and on the internet. I'm willing to bet that that's not content that's really going to serve you. That's not content that's really going to help you grow. Now, that's a really extreme example, but overall, regardless of your level, regardless of your rank or position, you need to make sure that you are just evaluating, what content am I participating in? What content am I watching? What content am I listening to? Whether it's a podcast, like I said, or it's a YouTube video, or if it's a movie, like, you've got to be able to say, okay, this is the people that I'm following, and they need to be following me for a purpose. So like for me, I really only follow, like business leaders. I follow church leaders. Like, for the most part, that's really all I follow. Like, like I can keep up with trends and all that type of stuff, because people talk about it. But for the most part, people who have my follow, I'm following because there's something that you post, there's content that you put out into the world that I find valuable to me. Okay. And it doesn't necessarily always need to be in a business workspace, but it's just like, I'm following you because I actually want to see what you're posting. But if what you're posting does not build me up, if what you're posting does not encourage me in any way, shape, or form, then I would be my own distraction if I allowed myself to keep watching things that basically they don't serve a purpose, right? I would be a fool if I were to do that, right? So you need to evaluate, okay, what content am I watching? What am I listening to? And if you know that, you might need to make some changes with this, what music you listen to, content, it's all content. We have content all around us. You need to be able to say, okay, is this content a distraction, or is this content moving me closer to the vision? Okay. And this is where, again, just practically look at who you follow, look at who you're subscribed to on YouTube. Well, pay attention to just what conversations you listen to if you watch podcasts or whatever the case is, right? You've got to be able to evaluate and guard the input of the content that you are taking part of. Okay. Now, the third and last thing that I want you to guard when you think about just guarding your inputs is just your conversations. Now, this is separate from people, but this conversations point has more to do with what you are saying. Okay, you need to be very clear about how you are speaking about your vision, because you cannot write down in your vision board, you cannot write down in your journal and notebook how excited you are about this big goal. But then when you're 3 months in, you start saying things like, oh, well, we'll just see how it goes. Or when you have your goal and your vision for whatever it is, whether it's for your business, and then all of a sudden when an obstacle comes up, you're like, oh, well, it is what it is. You have to really guard just what you are saying surrounding your goals. You need to guard what other people might say about your goals. Like one of the decisions that I made that was like super, super transformational just for me, um, concerning like me as a business person. I don't let people say that I have a small business. Like I will correct them because I run a business. Now I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I run some Fortune 100 company or anything like that. But when I think about just the vision that I know I have for Craft Your Dream, and I think about just all the things I'm doing in business, I'm not small anything. Like you're not describing me. Like when you say small business, like that might apply to some people, it just does not apply to me. And so when you think about just the conversations that are had surrounding you, surrounding your business, surrounding your church, surrounding your ministry, whatever it is, you've got to be able to be very clear of, okay, I'm guarding these conversations, meaning that I will correct people where necessary, or I just won't even participate in that conversation, right? Because again, we're guarding inputs, because if we allow these negative inputs in, we're going to allow ourselves to be distracted. Because if you allow somebody to speak negatively about your business, negatively about just you and your life, whatever the case is, now when you're actually working on the thing, you're just going to be thinking about, oh, well, they said I couldn't do it. Oh, well, and it's not going to be positive. It's not likely to be fruitful, we'll say. It's not likely to be productive, right? So when you think about guarding your inputs, you need to, one, guard your input, the input of people, guard the input of content, and then guard the input of conversations. Okay. Now that's number one when you think about just practical strategies to staying focused. You've got to guard your inputs, guard what you're hearing, and guard what you are seeing. Now, the second point that we want to make sure of when we think about just staying focused and really protecting our vision, number two, is that you want to guard your targets for the day. Now, I want to explain this a little bit because one of the misconceptions that you might have with this is, number one, you have to actually know what your targets are for the day. You have to actually know what you need to accomplish in order for it to be a successful day. And when you think about guarding your targets, number one, like your targets for the day should be about 3 to 5 things that you know must be completed, not just worked on. Okay. Like you need to know each and every day, here are the 3 to 5 things that so long as I do these 3 things, I've had a successful day. And you're not doing it just for the sake of being able to check it off on the to-do list. You're really doing it for peace of mind. Because if I'm very clear on what I need to get done today and I get those things done, I will lay my head down, confident, at peace with what I've gotten accomplished. But if I'm actually just working on stuff and not actually completing anything, I'm going to bed still thinking about, oh, well, I could have done this. And I'm waking up the next morning like, oh, man, I wish I had gotten that done. And now you're just in this mental space of fog, as opposed to actually being very clear as to, okay, here's what needs to get done for me to move this vision forward. Here's what needs to get done for me to build, at least build according to what I believe I'm called to. So this idea of guarding your targets for the day really starts with clarity of target. Like you need to know, okay, what is required in today? What's the daily bread for today that will allow me to get closer to not only building what God has called me to build, but also becoming the leader I'm called to be. And this is where a lot of people fall because, again, we just work on stuff. And I'll say this too. Do not confuse hard work with showing up. Do not confuse you working hard with you doing something at 60%. Like just because you show up, that does not mean that you've worked hard. Like so often, like especially if you are in, an entrepreneurship space and you're a solopreneur, right? It's very easy for us to fall into, okay, well, I did the bare minimum, so like I should be able to take a 3-month vacation. Like when you are building things on your own and you're leading something, whatever the case is, you need to only reward yourself and only classify yourself as, okay, I'm working hard when you've gone above and beyond and when you've actually completed stuff. Now, when I say complete stuff, I'm talking about in the context of you have clear targets on the day. Like I can say I worked hard if, I had 3 targets And because I actually worked hard and got those 3 targets done, I was able to at least start maybe tomorrow's targets or whatever it is. Like when you start kind of doing that consistently, that's when you'll be able to say, okay, I'm working hard. But a lot of people, they'll say, oh, I'm working so hard. And it's like, you're doing the bare minimum. Like that's like the expectation. Like you're celebrating for being on the floor. Why not raise the standards so you can always consistently be at the top of your game? And this is why we want to guard our targets. So once you're clear on the target, now you should know how to simply structure your day to just make sure they get done. This is where you'll be able to take the very practical step and saying, okay, I'm not moving on to the next thing until I get this thing done. Now, you might say, well, I'm a multitasker and that's all wonderful and fine. You know how you work. Okay. You know how you work. But overall, you need to know what your targets are and you need to guard them. So you can't all of a sudden just while you're in your workday start chasing the rabbit of something else because this thing popped up. Like because you were so intentional with setting the target for the day. Now, unless something comes up that is literally an emergency, you can focus on those things and you can stay guarded on them. And you can say, okay, if this new project, this new task, whatever it is, if it comes in, just write it down, save it for tomorrow based on its level of urgency and need. But overall, you've got to guard your targets for the day. All right. Now, it's again, I hope that makes sense. Hope you're tracking with me. Now, the third and final thing, okay, when you think about just staying focused, all right, staying focused and eliminating distraction is that we want to guard our time blocks. Okay, we want to guard our time blocks. Now, this idea of time blocks really stems from the fact that you need to have an idea, an organization of just how your day goes. Now, I've taught on, having theme days. I've taught on time blocks. And basically all a time block is you've basically dedicated, whether it's an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4, based on how you work, to just like one dedicated task. So you can say, okay, you know what? Every Tuesday, let's say I'm dedicating 2 hours only to, writing out content. You could say on Thursday, I'm dedicating 3 hours only to recording content, right? You can say I'm every Monday for 3 hours, I'm dedicating that only to cold outreach. Like a time block basically is, okay, this is a block of time that I've purposed for this singular activity. Simply put, that's what a time block is, right? And so this idea of staying focused and eliminating distractions starts with you guarding your time blocks. Now, here's how you do that. You learn how to say no. You learn how to say no. Like, no is one of the most powerful words you can use as a builder. No is one of the most powerful tools in your tool belt that you can use if you want to stay focused, because you will not grow by saying yes to everything. You'll only grow by what you say no to, because if you can say no to distraction, you are saying yes to being focused and saying yes to your dream. And so with this idea of learning how to say no, you'll understand that you will find yourself more at peace, and it will be uncomfortable at first. Don't get me wrong. It will be uncomfortable, but it is worth it. It's worth it in the sense of you will be able to recognize and know basically what is necessary for you to stay focused. Like, because you can get a phone call while you're in the middle of deep work. You can get a phone call in the middle of the time block, whatever the case is. You should be able to, at some point, be able to look at the phone and say, okay, not right now. Like if there's something that might be a pressing need, whatever it is, if it's that important, they'll call again, right? But you've got to be able to just simply say no to these distractions. And that's why, just what I said earlier about being able to identify distractions, that's why it's so important. So if you want to guard your time blocks, you need to learn how to say no. So this even means if let's say, that you're currently in your 9 to 5, just using a hypothetical, you're in your 9 to 5, and let's say, a friend of yours has a birthday dinner or something like that after, and that was time where you were going to work on your side hustle for now, that it's supposed to be your full time, right? You have a decision to make. If you say yes to the birthday dinner, then you miss out on getting closer to building your dream. But if you say no to the birthday dinner, you say yes to your dream. Now, depending on the relationship and everything like that, I'm of the belief like if I'm building something, like I'm doing good work, I can't come down, right? Especially if it's like dedicated, like I've planned this out and this could be the thing that changes everything. So when you think about just the ability to guard a time block, it's just saying no. And you're going to say no to people. You're going to say no to invites. You're going to say no to events. You just got to be able to learn how to say no. This applies a lot too in finances as well, because you've got to be able to say no to things if you actually want to save money, right? It's not a matter of, okay, let me, I got to pick up a second job and all these things. It's like, no, I might need to just cut expenses, and in order to cut expenses, you've got to say no. So your time is the same way. So really, we could say guard your resources. Guard the resources of your time. Guard the resources of your energy. Guard the resources of your money. Guard these resources by saying no. Now, by saying no and really having clear outlines as to why you're saying no, you are establishing personal boundaries. Okay, you're establishing personal boundaries so that way you can actually stay focused, and you can explain to people why. So you will not come off like a jerk if you decide to say no to specific things for specific reasons, and then when someone asks you why, you're able to articulate, here's why. I'm working on something. If they really love you, back to the people, evaluating the people and guarding the inputs, if they really love you and believe in whatever it is that you're building, they're not going to look at you like you're wrong. Now, there might be special occasions, and I get that. But again, you're able to plan ahead for that. But for the most part, we're talking generally here. If you know you're working on something that really matters and can change the trajectory of your life, your family's life, your friend's life, like it can just change everything, you've got to learn how to say no. And those personal boundaries, being clear on them for yourself, would go a long way. Now, this is another really, really practical tool that kind of fits within all three of these. When you think about guarding your inputs, guarding your targets for the day, and guarding your time blocks, is really, for at least for all the iPhone users, screen time. Utilize the screen time function on your iPhone. Now, for all the Android users, I don't know what y'all have, but I know for the iPhone users, just utilize your screen time. You can literally set how much time you want to give yourself on social media. You can literally set how much time you like, or I should say, you can set deadlines for when you want your phone to basically lock. You can set these things up so that way you are basically putting yourself in an environment where the only thing you can do is be productive. You can set things up in a way where the only choice you have is to be productive, because these things can help. And it's very, very simple. Like screen time is extremely helpful, because right now I'm willing to bet if you were to go on your screen time right now and look at how long you've been on your phone and things like that, you're going to see like, oh, I've been on my phone for 16 hours today. And it's like, oh my gosh, right? There's a lot of us can be wasting time and falling into distractions without us even knowing it. And so that's why we want to even put these boundaries and these policies and these guidelines on ourselves, so we don't fall victim to distractions and we can walk into our goals. So just kind of a recap of our conversation. Okay. And then I'm going to get out of here. Recap of our conversation. When you think about just how to protect your vision from distraction, the first thing that you need to do is that you need to guard your inputs. You need to guard and evaluate, okay, what am I hearing and what am I seeing? Paying attention to people, paying attention to content, and paying attention to conversations. The second thing is that I want to guard my targets for the day. I need to first even know my targets, but then after that, I need to actually only focus on those things because I'm so clear on the target, I know these are the only things that I need to do today, not so that way I can quote unquote achieve something, but just so I can have the peace of mind that when I lay my head down, I've been successful. And then the third and final thing is that we need to guard our time blocks. Time block being where I've allocated this specific amount of time to this specific task, and that's the only thing that I'm going to be doing. And I'm guarding that time block by saying no. And for all the iPhone users, practically, I'm basically using the screen time app, so that way I can make limits of time on how I'm getting all this done. Okay. So I hope that this was helpful to you. I hope that this was something that you're able to kind of take with you as you go into your day. But understand, protecting your vision, it's as easy as being intentional. It's as easy as using screen time on your phone. It's as easy as developing a strong no as a leader, because again, you grow with your no's, you don't grow with your yeses. And so with this idea of protecting your vision, this is going to be vital, particularly if you want to become resilient. Okay, if you want to become resilient. So, as I mentioned before at the very beginning of this, we're doing this live stream series in preparation for the Dreamer Symposium that's happening at the end of the year. And so, I'd really appreciate you all. I'd love to see you all there. You can get your tickets right now at dreamersymposium.com. If you are a church leader, if you have a team, if you're in real estate, if you are in insurance, whatever it is, if you're an entrepreneur, whether you're a solopreneur or you're an entrepreneur and you have a small team, whatever the case is, okay, if you are somebody who simply wants to grow, this symposium is for you. Okay, it's a 2-day leadership conference for you to create big vision and for you to grow in your self leadership, because you need clarity, you need strategy. And this year, we're going to be talking about the fact that you also need resilience in order to get it done. All right. So I appreciate you. I'll see you guys in about 2 weeks for the next live series. Outside of that, be sure to check out the Dream Lifestyle podcast that happens every first and third Monday. And outside of that, I hope you guys enjoy your day, and I will see you later.